Hello and welcome to the Harryman Show, episode 84. I just want to apologize for a little long, short vacation break we took there. I appreciate everyone that reached out asking when the new episode was going to be. But we're back in the saddle, and I got a good friend here in the other seat. His name is Doug Bailey. He plays in a Phoenix-based band, Apex Nemesis. How you doing, Doug?
Doing good, Dustin. Thanks for having me in.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure, and I've been dying to get you down to the room and check it out. And
Well, I'll tell you what, you have created a drummer's paradise here with everything you got going on. You did a great job with the garage that you converted into this big studio. I am very impressed. It's got great sound capture, really quiet, nice and tight. So good for you, man.
But I have to say this, and I said this before the show. You were a big inspiration for it because you have an excellent room yourself. And when I saw that, I was just like, I need this. I need to achieve this.
Well, you know, drummers, the old cliche, drummers stick together. So anytime I've found something that works really well, no matter what it is, whether it's with my playing or, you know, how I live my life health-wise, physically, that helps my drumming, I always want to share that because there's a lot of people that have been a big influence on me, and I wouldn't be where I'm at without that interaction and that really cool sharing that goes on between drummers that don't have attitudes.
Yeah, I think you're humbling yourself and give you the opportunity to learn more just from asking questions, looking around.
Exactly, and I've always found that I can learn something from any drummer, no matter what their capabilities are at the time I meet them, because everybody's experience as they go through the process of learning how to play drums, whether it's starting off as a grade school student in concert band or working, into the high school marching band or just doing cover tunes that they learned on their own by ear or been shown. Everybody's got a different experience, so I never don't want to not learn something. Whenever I get together with a drummer, I always want to learn something. So, I kind of go in with my glass empty and just have a lot of fun sharing and getting going on whatever it is that the experience brings. So,
yeah, that's a good thing to stand by. So I know we have a lot to talk about your band, but what is currently going on with Doug? What's going on with Apex Nemesis, and what are you guys working on?
I joined Apex Nemesis, which is a groove metal band a la Machine Head, Gojira, a lot of bass drum syncopations with the guitars. These guys are consummate professionals. Everybody does their homework, which is really nice. So when you go in to rehearse, you run through the set, and you don't have to worry about going over parts or whole songs again and again.
That's the way it should be.
Exactly. So it was nice to experience that when I first hooked up with these guys about a year and a half ago. They have a lot of great tunes, a lot of syncopated drumming, double bass, snare with the guitars. So yeah, I was blessed that I found these guys and that they thought that I had the goods to bring it. And so we've been working together for the past year and a half.
How many members are in that band?
There are. Count. I only have so many fingers or toes to count on. So there are 4 members. It's myself on drums, Mr. Steve Merrick on guitar and vocals, Chuck Simoes on rhythm guitar, and right now Chris Wojcicki on bass.
Nice.
So
joining that band, did they have a catalog going, or did you get a chance to write a lot with them?
They did have a catalog going. It was a lot of fun to learn the existing drum beats, a lot of which were done on electronic kits or just the programmed drums. But they were really cool about once I got the basic drum patterns down that, I was able to bring my style in and some of the, melodic fills or cymbal crashes, breakdowns, syncopations. So yeah, it was actually kind of nice because they gave me a nice bass line to work with, and then I added my own flair and not beats, but feels and grooves that were similar to what was already there, but obviously had my signature on it.
Yeah, and it's really good stuff. I've been listening to it, especially the last couple of days. I'm really digging it.
Well, thank you. We've put together a couple of lyric videos out. One for the song Devour, another for the song Volatile.
And does not to interrupt you, but does Ryan work with the band as well?
Yeah, Ryan is our sound engineer.
Ryan's excellent. He was also a previous guest for anyone listening. This guy knows his stuff.
He is incredible, and he's a horrible taskmaster. And we have sort of a love-hate relationship, because when he comes in and records me, it's like, nope, do it again. Nope, do it again.
So he has a lot of discipline, is what you're saying.
He has a lot of discipline, and I'll be honest with you, the recordings that you hear for these lyric videos, and they're all, the reason that they sound so good and that they're tight and, everything's working so well is he really takes pride in making sure we're giving the songs we have written the justice that they deserve. So, that's really cool to have somebody that understands metal, that understands the style that we have, and is able to push us to, do our best red light recording.
Yeah, good producers like the 6th, 7th member of the band, whatever the number be. Like, I mean, they have to be on the same team. Like,
absolutely. If you're not having someone push you and drive you when you're recording, you probably want to think about looking for someone that can do that for you, because it's, and it's something that all of the great recordings that you hear, whether it's from a national made Van Halen down to, the local band that's working their butts off to get there. There's always someone behind the scenes that's pushing them to do their best and making the sound correct.
Yeah. So I want to talk about gigs. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but you guys have something cool coming up in Texas. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have a lot of gigs going off. 2023 is going to be a banner year for Apex Nemesis. We're really excited. We already have a couple lyric videos out. We have another lyric video coming out for the song No Man's Land. And again, all of these songs you can find on any of your streaming
Spotify,
application. Spotify, Apple, all the different, things that you can check out music on, YouTube, all of that. If you want to just take the shortcut, go to our webpage, which is apexnemesis.com, and it'll give you all the links to check out some of the stuff we've got going on. So we're in the studio now with Ryan Johnson, who, again, is a phenomenal engineer, a great metal vocalist in his own right, and a great player as well. So he's recording us. We're going to have that coming out, hopefully, I want to say in the fall.
Nice.
At least before 2024, we should be good to go. We're about halfway done.
So how many songs? Is this going to be an EP or like a full-length album?
It's going to be a full-length album. There should be 9 to 10 songs on there. Forgive me if I messed up the which tunes or how many exactly, because we're still working through that. But
so this is kind of like a side argument. A lot of bands are saying it's not worth doing albums anymore. Do you disagree or agree with that?
You know what? I have heard that, and, everybody don't do, it's not what's going on. Do your single cuts, release singles, put it out there, the little breadcrumbs to the mass media audience. But you know what? There's something about holding on to something physical that it just doesn't do it when you're streaming.
Yeah.
My experience has been whenever I've looked at music and what do I want to buy or what do I want to listen to, the first thing I look at is the album cover.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's a cassette tape, which is, 80s, 90s, early 90s technology, or CDs that came out after that, there's something special about, looking at a CD cover, seeing the artwork that the band's putting in there. That gives you that initial visual cue on what their music's going to sound like. And then, gosh, you open up a CD, there's a picture of all the guys, they've got quotes, and, so I think it's really
important.
Well, it's a missed opportunity to share your music on a level that's not just, download to your iPhone.
Yeah. It gets
there's
lost in the obscurity of YouTube.
Yeah, and I mean, I had so much fun and still do looking at all my old CDs, all my old, cassette tapes. And I mean, back in the day, that's how we wrote music, was we would, go in and record cassette tapes off boom boxes and then hand that over to the guitar player and he does something there. So, I mean, the technology is great. I'm glad we have it because it really enables a lot of, areas to go from and learn from. I mean,
but it can be overloaded at the same time.
It can be overload, and I think
because if I show you something 2 hours ago, you probably already forgot about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're already on to like.
But if it's in your hand or it's in your car, and oh wow, yeah, let's throw that in and put that on the spin. So that's kind of my take on that. I think it's probably a two-pronged attack. We're actually going to do a small single or 1 or 2 track small CD package, just with the slip that it comes with, and then give those out at shows or something.
That's awesome.
But once we get all the tracks done for the album, we want to do a full length album, and we'll have the artwork on there, and if people want to buy that, they can. We'll have it at shows and such, or they can stream. So, that's what we're doing there. It's all about just looking at what your options are. We actually took a business card and put QR codes on the back of it. And those QR codes, if you use your phone with the QR technology or whatever, will take you to our website or a Facebook page where, you can find everything you need to know about us there. So, we want to have that. We want to be, in front of the game on the technology and the multimedia side, but I think it's important
to be human.
To be human. Well, to have, who doesn't like a little CD packet with a kick-ass, cool photo or cool artwork on it? I mean, that's part of the music experience is that.
A souvenir. That's a shitty word to use, but yeah, it's just a token of experience.
I agree.
Yeah. That's just been a touchy subject I've seen a lot, kind of floating around, but I kind of think people should play it on both sides. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what we're doing. So, obviously the album will be you can download it, you can stream it, whatever you want. But, we want to put something out there that, someone can stick in their, in their pocket and take home from the gig or whatever, or buy it, you know, off the website, whatever. I mean, it's all part of the experience. Why limit yourself to one thing if you can have it all?
Yeah. So I'm going to change gears on here. I kind of want to go back to your superhero origin stories and how it all started. Like, what was the first time you picked up sticks, and what was that moment?
Well, my family has always been into music and at a pretty high level. My grandmother, Orme Hubbard, was the fiddle player for Ray Price, who was a legendary early country western singer. He did songs, Lay Your Head on My Pillow. If you know anything about country music, you'll recognize the name. But they came through El Paso, Texas. I think I must have been around, I don't know, this was probably 5th grade. I think 5th grade's 10-year-olds, something like that. Well, we got to go to the venue before the show, and the drummer saw me there and asked me if I wanted to help him do a sound check. I didn't know what that was, but he took me up on stage and put my butt on the drum throne and told me to hit the different toms and stuff like that. And I'll tell you what, for a young individual, that was it. I was like, I'm hooked. I'm a drummer.
That's it. That was the moment.
That was the moment. And then from that point, my mom got me a little practice pad and a sticks, and then I went and auditioned for the concert band.
Well, did you grow up in El Paso, Texas?
My formative years were in El Paso, Texas.
Nice.
Yeah, I was there from the time I was in grade school through high school. And once I got out of high school, I moved up to Phoenix.
Nice. And what was what was the scene like? Was it growing at that time, or do you think it was still in its development phases? Because I I know Texas, like Austin right now, is blowing up, but like, was El Paso like that at all?
You know what? It was a destination. I mean, the first concert I saw there was Aerosmith Rocks, which was one of their earlier albums.
Mm-hmm.
But we had, everybody from the Sex Pistols to the Scorpions coming through town. So it was, I really look at those years, the 80s, early 90s, as obviously it was the second wave of British metal. The first wave was the Beatles, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
But then you had Iron Maiden coming through, and this is all 1981, 82, 83. So I was getting exposed to that style of music, and I was just hooked with the things that was happening, technology, the Marshall sound,
Yeah.
All the stuff that was going on there with that, and I was just blown away by what these people were putting out. So, of course, you always want to your heroes, you want to replicate,
Yeah.
or so. The scene was good there. We had, Quiet Riot. I saw Quiet Riot out on the shores of the Rio Grande River. It was basically an open desert party, but with.
And I was assuming your parents took you to these, like they were supportive in the music.
Yeah,
endeavors.
yeah.
Were your parents as musicians as well, or just with your grandmother?
My grandmother was. I took piano lessons, which I hated at the time when I first started, but the piano teacher told me that, hey, he doesn't like playing the piano. He's got great rhythm. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, my mom and dad and stepdad and everything like that supported my music fully. They regretted it once they bought me a drum set and I was playing, in my room, and they're trying to watch this or that or do whatever they did. And mm-hmm. They were very supportive, always have been. So, I give the big shout out to them for getting me going in that, supporting it. And so, yeah.
And then what were your big influences growing up? Like, what were the big four for you?
Gosh, I first started, my parents had some albums, Deep Purple, King Crimson, which King Crimson, the original progressive metal band, I think, but mm-hmm. Led Zeppelin, things like that. So when I heard Led Zeppelin, I was like, okay, this is it here. I need to find out what's going on. And obviously John Bonham. So he was probably my first major influence that I got into. Once I started moving into the music scene in school, the drummers that were ahead of me in grade and were already in marching band and stuff like that, we hooked up and hung out, and they got me into Iron Maiden when they came out. And so I think my first real metal influence has to be John Bonham and then Clive Burr, which was the original drummer for Iron Maiden. Mm-hmm. And Clive Burr was an incredible triplet player.
Yeah.
And, dun to ticket to dun to ticket to dun. I mean, that was ground shaking new experience. Nobody'd ever heard that. Everybody's, you've got your buddy guy and your earlier guys, but to really take hold of the double bass and make that, a fundamental and primal part of the music was incredible. And then, of course, Nico McBrain, he was originally a jazz drummer, and they found him, so he brought some melody into the tom parts and nice breakdowns. So, yeah, I would say, my initial early stuff was John Bonham, Clive Burr, Nico, and, of course, the greatest of all time, Neil Peart, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That was the goal to get to that stage. But Neil brought just, what planet did this guy come from? Because what he was doing was off the hook.
I still think 100 years from now, people are still going to be thinking the same way.
Right. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, well, shoot, what's going on out there? Yeah. And so that was something that I got going. My first show was at the, I think it was a high school, maybe junior high, was the talent show, and we did 2 songs. You were only allowed to do 1 song, but we didn't care about winning. We just wanted to play in front of a bunch of people. So the first song we played was Led Zeppelin Rock and Roll.
Nice.
And then, yep. And then directly from that, we went into ZZ Top, bat,
Nice.
Sharp Dressed Man or whatever it was. And
Uh-huh.
oh my God, the guys up front, they didn't get to see the teachers and everything that were silently mouthing, get off the stage and stop and all this stuff. And I just smiled at them like, well,
They were against it?
oh yeah, you
Really?
were only allowed to have one song, and we were taking advantage of that. Oh God, they were pissed,
Oh,
but we didn't care.
just running with it.
Yeah, already we were into the metal, anti society, give it to the man and all that stuff. So we could give a shit about that.
Yeah.
We just want to play in front of people. So we did that. That was the first live show I did, and man, it's been history ever since.
Yeah. So did you continue after high school, or did you take lessons, formal lessons, or anything like that? Or you're all
I took former lessons coming up through junior high and high school. I mean, that was one of the requirements of the music program, was that if you're going to get at that next level, they want you to take music lessons, which was huge. It made me the drummer that I am today, the percussionist that I am today, the musician that I am today. I've had a lot of teachers that really helped me out with, how to approach new rhythms, new genres, things like that. I can't remember their names. It was so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the 80s and the 90s happened. And then they were before that, so it's hard to look back and figure out who they were.
Oh, I understand. Sorry to bring that all up.
No, it's cool.
Yeah.
I just want to know that it wasn't something I did on my own.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that I will be eternally grateful to for helping me and showing me that next step, et cetera, et cetera.
Any regrets of your youth years that you wish you would have focused on or did differently?
I wish I would have practiced more and stopped chasing tail and partying.
But you have to. That's part of life, though.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. But it's like, I have the opportunity now to work with a lot of great musicians and a lot of different genres, even though metal is my go-to. It was just like, man, I could have been so much further along. But, to think about regrets like that,
No, I always look at it like I would have protected my hearing better, or like what I mean, like just little things. You're just like, God damn it, you know what I mean? Like I always like to look back at that kind of stuff. But you have to live life. You can't breathe drums and eat drums all the time. That's how you go crazy.
Yeah, no,
I've learned that multiple times. Like,
yeah.
so
yeah, but that's kind of how it came up through the music programs in the schools. I wish there was more music programs today than there is. It's just really too bad because music has enriched my life from the very beginning. When I started playing, in grade school up through marching band, and then, out rocking around the scene in El Paso and wherever other city I lived in. It's just, and even to this day, it's like that's my mainstay. When I'm bummed or depressed or whatever it is, I can go in there and throw on some tunes and start jamming, playing drums, and it's like, hey man, everything's going to be all right.
I kind of feel sorry for people that don't have that kind of output or input. You know what I mean? Because you kind of imagine, what do you do if you don't have something like that?
Yeah.
Regardless of it being painting or, some sort of...
Oh, sure. It's not just music. I mean, anytime you can work the artistic side of your brain. I mean,
but there's millions of people out there that don't do that. And I just always wonder, like, how do you guys do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely something that I would hope more people would get into, but,
Yeah.
you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink.
Yeah. So I kind of want to talk about... I kind of brought up you were the inspiration of this room, but I kind of want to talk about the room that you built and the theme of it. And, when you walk in that room, it definitely has a theme, and it's really cool. I don't know how to label it politely, but it's very medieval.
Yeah.
So what was kind of the idea of that, and, like, what was something you always wanted to do, or was it just a spur of the moment thing?
I have always been into, from a very young age, Dungeons and Dragons, and that kind of fantasy artwork, the magic, the whole, sword and sorcery thing. That's been with me since a very early age. So, I collect swords. I have a lot of different swords and stuff like that. So I thought, hey, I'm gonna turn this music room into a display case, for my swords, my shields, stuff like that. And so as far as the artistic theme, it's kind of like medieval dungeon-esque type stuff. So, I took the one-car garage in the home that we have, and I took the garage door framing down. I built a 2x4 wall in front of that, put the pink insulation sticking inside the wall, put 2x4s up, drywall, and then I lifted the garage floor up with 2x6s, which are 6 inches, put plywood across that, then put carpet on that, and then I went and got busy with they have this rolls of soundproofing, so I did that on the ceilings, the walls, the floors, all that. And then I went to Home Depot, Lowe's, one of those places, and got some black, real thin carpet, put that about halfway up around the walls, put a cool border on that, and then just started hanging my swords and, my stuff like that. And I'll tell you, it's, once I got it done, it was a nice place to be in.
It's very nice.
It's got a good metal vibe to it, just coming in and hanging out in there.
Now, do you feel like that's important? I mean, because I'm kind of like insecure about my practicing. Did you feel like it helped your confidence of just be able to practice like that and just know that you were shut off a little bit?
It helped me with the headspace.
Yeah.
Because
it's like a different dimension.
I mean, anytime I go in there and I want to do work, I don't need to be thinking about, did I pay the electric bill? Did I need to go get, snacks at the grocery store, or who didn't I call back? When I go in there, I want to be in a space that encourages creativity. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is when I go into that room, I'll sit there for, 5 or 10 minutes before I start going and just decompress, breathe. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Anything that you run across that's stressful, just breathe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'll go in there, I'll meditate a little bit and do my breathing and just kind of hang out with myself in the space and say, okay, let's, and I know when I'm ready, and then we get to work on it. So yeah, it's a safe space for me. It's, the sound deadening gives you a different perspective, I think, because your audio, your ears, cut off and shut down. So, and that's important. You got to think about that before you get into, how effective is your practice going to be if you force it? Oh shit, I'll go to the store and then I'll play those drums for 30 minutes and then I got to go pick this up or that up.
It's almost a waste at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
you really have to go in there and want to do it and not look at your phone or your clock or your whatever, what I mean?
I don't take my phone into my studio.
Yeah, that's good. That's where I kind of go wrong because before I know I'm like 3 things deep on my phone. I'm like, what the hell just happened? Like, you know what I mean? So it is a big distraction. Did that force you to kind of get into like the audio recording side of it, or did you have a good feel for that before going into it?
I had no feel for it. I was a drummer, and I'm the drummer, and I'm the guy that sits back and does the grooves and does the beats and, does all the work moving my shit on and off stage. But yeah, so a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to quit my day job and start doing music full time. Well, what does that look like? Well, the learning curve was immense. So I built my studio, and then I want to record. I want to do some different things. I got a hold of a X32 Behringer 32 track.
Nice.
And Ryan Johnson actually came over and helped me set that up, along with John Herrera from the band Turning Point, and also has done a lot of other work. He's the one that introduced me to Ryan Johnson.
Really?
Yep.
And he's also a metal drummer as well?
He's a jazz drummer.
Really?
He can play metal, but he's a jazz drummer. But the guy is the most disconnected drummer I have ever personally met.
What do you mean by disconnected?
I mean, he's got, wind whistles and shells going off in his left hand. He's got 2 sticks in his right hand. One of them's hitting the hi-hat. The other's hitting the cymbal at the same time. He's got 20 million different things going on.
Oh, so he's eccentric.
And he makes it look just so disgustingly easy.
Oh, I'll check him out.
So yeah, he's great. He runs a recording studio called Clamsville, and he does world beat, all different styles of music. But he was one of my influences at the beginning of my recording experience. Mm-hmm. I was in a band called Sanctum AZ, which was a basic blue jean metal, leather jacket, metal, basic metal, and I ran into John, and we set up a recording time, and I brought over all my drums, and I was really excited because I'd been practicing real hard, and he says, "Okay, so where's the click track?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't need a click track. My meter's great. Everybody tells me how great my meter is. So I've been doing, all this work." And he's like, "Well, I can't record you if you don't have a click track."
Blunt about it, yeah.
And he says, "Look, I can't give you the product. I'm not going to charge you, $75 an hour, $50 an hour, when I can't give you the production and engineering that you need." And of course, I already have all my drums set up and everything. And I'm like, "Well, no, I've got internal, an internal clock that's incredible." He's like, "It's not." And I said, "Well, Iron Maiden records without a click track." And he just looked at me and he said, "You're not Iron Maiden." And I was like, point taken. So I packed up my drums and went away and practiced and learned how to play to a click track and came back, and he hooked us up. So
yeah, it's very what's the word for it? Disheartening. When you did the click track and rattle, you rolled a little bit.
Just like anything new, I was more afraid of it than I should have been, because it's a great tool. And, these days, pretty much any sort of, progressive power, any metal really that has, anything other than just a 3-piece drum, guitar, bass deal, you're going to have backing tracks.
It actually helps you breathe and slows down your heart too. I've learned that because it calms you down. Because when you go live, you're just going off the ramp. You go off the ramp without it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all the fills are quicker than the beat, and
yeah, you're overthinking things, and the click just holds you down and says stay put. You know what I mean?
So I will always, thank John for being as nice as he could have been, and let me come back and record once I had the clicks down. So now it's like because Apex Nemesis uses a lot of backing tracks and different things like that, I play to a click.
So since we're on the subject of gear, what's your go-to kit, and what do you like to play live, and what do you like to keep home?
So my recording kit, which I do, for all the stuff out of Drum Dungeon Studios, is a Crush drum set.
Nice.
And if people don't know what a Crush is, it's actually some guys from the D-Drum crew a few years back, weren't happy with the quality and the things that were going on with D-Drums. I don't know the backstory, but 3 or 4 of them went off on their own and started a new drum company called Crush. And they used woods, babinga, ash, beech, all these different things.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of options. So I wasn't sure what was going on with exactly, what wood should I use. I didn't know, but they were really cool about having YouTube videos explaining what each type of wood did. And because my goal is to create music in a lot of different genres, not just metal, but blues, funk, Latin, all those different things. I wanted a kit that would be able to meet all those needs, whether it's a really low end tones or high tones. And that Crush ash, man, I can tune them up really high and they sound great. I can drop them down low, they sound great. And
you have real shallow toms on those too, right?
Yeah,
the quick toms, what they call them usually.
Yeah, they're shallow, very thin shells. So they sound great. I would never use them in a live environment, just because they would get destroyed after
Yeah.
a month or two of shows.
And I hope you're okay with me bringing this, but you were just showing me on your YouTube channel. I know you're starting it now, but there's a video of you playing them. They sound really good. I recommend everyone check them out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Drum Dungeon Studios on the YouTube. I don't have a lot going on there. I'm still building the content, but please go check it out. There's a few different things on there, but you can hear how what those crush drums sound like post production. I love them. They're great. And then for my go-to on doing live shows, I use a Yamaha Stage Custom Birch.
You have like the power tones of those, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, nice.
they're a little bit deeper, but they're really bright. Like I said, they're bulletproof. I don't worry about the toms falling because one of the mounts failed on me or whatever. I mean, in my opinion, and 30 plus years of drumming, I believe Yamaha has probably the best hardware out there.
Nice.
With stands, the drums itself. I mean, these guys are ready to rock, and they won't let you down. So
nice. So what is on your like dream list? What are some things you want to try out, cymbal wise, snare drum wise? Is there anything that you're just like looking forward to getting in the future?
Well, I'll tell you what. I play. So what I've got going on now with my show kit is I've got 12, 10, 13, no, 12, 10, 14, 16, 18 toms. I've got a 22-inch bass drum, and that's my Yamaha Stage Custom. I'm using Remo pinstripes on all the toms, control sound, a Remo control sound coated on my snare. I've got Aquarian Super Kick 2 on the bass drums.
Punchy, all of those.
Yeah, well, it's a self muffling head, which I really like because it doesn't look too cool to have the pillow you've had for 20 years stuck inside your bass drum.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
So those are the drums and the head. Cymbal wise, let's see. I use pretty much for my crashes the A Custom Fast Crash. I have a 15-inch on the left, 16-inch on the right. I use those because I do a lot of riding on my crashes, and I want a quick decay. I don't want that thing, rolling out for 5 seconds.
And they're pretty durable for 10 cymbals.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have never had a problem with the Zildjian A Customs, and their return policy is incredible.
Yeah,
I bought some cymbals, and they have a 4-year now, and they don't even make you send them back. And back in the day, you had to send them the cymbal, and then they would look at it and determine if you got a refund or not.
Yeah,
you know what
Zildjian
I mean?
is still my favorite cymbal go-to.
Yeah,
I like it.
It really is. I use the ProMark Shirakashi Oak. They're a little more expensive, a few dollars more expensive, but you are going to get your money's worth.
You feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it, and the vibration.
Yeah. The
length of the sticks is nice too.
Yep.
It helps out a lot.
Yep. Love the ProMarks. As far as my effect cymbals, I use the Meinl effects cymbals, the custom effects, I think they call them. So I have a China on the right, and that's a Meinl custom effects, and then I have a splash cymbal in the center setup, and I have a 20-inch A Custom projection ride.
Oh, nice!
Which I love. Love. And then I'm using a Zildjian 14-inch Master Sound hi-hat on the left. And then this is thanks to you, Dustin. I've got a 14-inch K Dark hi-hat on the right that I play with just a little bit of space in between it. So it's more of a shh as opposed to...
I love Ks, but they don't last forever. I mean, that's kind of the downside to them. I mean, they're like an excellent don't leave the house cymbal. Or high-end studio, you know what I mean? But
use it in your recording.
Yeah, I mean, but day-to-day Ks, they crack. I love them. I wish they didn't break, but A Customs are the workhorses, though.
Yeah, A Custom are, and you're not going to go wrong with that. And what I've found is the older they get, the better they sound.
Yeah, they get even it's hard to explain to get like even thinner in a weird way.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I do there with those deals. The mics, I use the Audix drum mics, and you can actually find a nice package, a drum package that comes with, I don't know, 3 or 4 tom mics. It comes with snare mic. I think it even comes with a condenser mic.
Yeah, I think it's an Audix D6 pack.
That's right,
yeah.
the Audix D6 pack. That's the one. And then I use for condenser mics. What is that one? The condenser mics is a Lewitt, Lewitd.
Nice, good stuff.
2 of those. Those are a little pricey, but man, to capture your cymbals and all that's going on, and
that will make or break a recording.
it really can.
Yeah, because it can make something sound dead or open, or it can make it sound roomy. Compared to.
Well, there's no point in having this, God Tom sound where and it just like wow, and then wow, where did he find the trash can lid? You know what I mean? You're just not gonna.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of what I'm rolling with that. So the Crush for the studio and the Yamaha Stage Custom for
Some
the
good
live
setups.
shows. Yeah.
So I kind of, before I let you go, I want to talk about the show you guys have in Tucson on February. How's that one? And where to get tickets for that one?
All right. Well, the show we have in Tucson is on February 10th, which I believe is a Friday. Yeah. And it's at the Edge in Tucson. And we're playing up there with the promoters from Rockin' Free Live.
Nice.
And I'm going to just shamelessly promote the Phoenix metal scene here real quick before we go further. I'll let you know when we're playing, but I just want to give a big shout out. These guys are the hardest working people, these promoters. I love them. They don't get the credit that they should. They deal with flaky musicians all the time and even flakier bar owners, and yet they put these shows on week after week after week. And we've worked with some really great people. 13th Floor Entertainment, Kim out there is just amazing. And you can look up these promoters' websites and see all the shows they've got coming through. Rockin' Free Live, Travis and Penny are just amazing. Immortalized Productions, Adam's the biggest stud I could ever talk about. I mean, he's a player. He's just intense. And these also Rabbit Hole Entertainment with Jeff. I mean, these guys are there, at noon, getting the out of town bands in, getting everything set. They're there at 6 o'clock when the doors open, and they're there at 1:30 in the morning, and they do not get the credit that they deserve. So big shout out to all the promoters. And then I think we have a really, really robust metal scene here in Phoenix. And I'm proud of that. I mean, I see these bands working their butts off. We've got some pretty cool clubs that are out there. You've got the 44 Sports Bar and Grill on, I think, 43rd in Peoria. The Blues Bar, which is out on 32nd Street in Cactus. The Rebel Lounge, which used to be the Mason Jar. Everybody who's been around remembers Franco, quite the character, 24th Street in Indian School. The Nile Theater out in Mesa. And then the Rooms, also in Mesa. So I mean, there's a vibrant scene here if people, get out there and
so you think it's growing?
I think that since COVID happened and everybody got shut down for a year and a half,
the thirst
became something. People wanted to get out there and be part of something that was cool and with other people going on there. So
do you think, and this another side subject, do you think COVID helped everyone's creativity, or like kind of push people into the obscurity of it?
I think it helped.
Yeah, me too.
Helped me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had actually a little bit of a breather where I didn't have to commit to anything. I could sort of, guide my path there. And, I think, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was kind of a blessing and a curse.
Right.
I don't know how to say that without sounding shitty, but yeah, I see the positives. But yeah, Doug, was great having you on. I mean, we'll have to do this once you guys start playing out, and we'll talk more about what you guys are doing. It was a real pleasure to have you on the show, though.
Cool, man.
Well,
Thanks, Dustin.
Thank you.
Bye.